We're live. All right. Alrighty, folks. Lewis here from Status Coup. We are in downtown East Palestine. You can give folks a quick look around if you want, Colin. Right on Main Street, we're at the East Palestine Municipal Building. Here again in downtown East Palestine, Ohio. We just got into town today. This is our Status Coup's second trip to East Palestine in the last couple of weeks here. Sorry, East Palestine in the last couple of weeks here, covering the tragic train derailment that happened. Tonight we're going to be shortly getting started with a city council meeting that is taking place inside of the building right next to me here. We'll have the mayor present as well as several council members. This is an event that is open to the public. We're going to be live streaming the entire thing here. If you're just joining right now too, we're just getting started, so please smash the like button, help get this stream out to more folks. So we're going to hear from the mayor, the city council, and then residents were able to submit comment for this to be able to get added to the agenda. If they wanted to be submitted to be able to do this, they were supposed to do so by Friday, meaning 3 or 4 days ago at this point, Friday. Several residents that we spoke to didn't know this rule ahead of time, and so there are going to be some people who want to talk who are very likely not on the agenda. Someone we know who is definitely going to be on the agenda this week is going to be Jamie Kaza, who works with River Valley Organizing. Jamie has been on Status Coup a couple times now. You've all seen her. We actually, about 2 weeks ago when we were here, we did a town hall, a couple buildings over here, where we brought to you some conversations with experts such as Stephen Lester, who talked all about dioxins. We heard from lawyers and all sorts of things like that. But this is our first day of the second trip here to East Palestine, again, for this city council meeting that's taking place here. Again, we already got into town today. We've had in an interview earlier with resident Ashley McCollum, who we've had on before. Ashley's shared with us some new water test results. We'll be posting that interview tomorrow, very likely, where they've actually tested the water in many of the creeks and streams and things like that around here, and they're actually finding some of the things that there were concerns about before, dioxins being one of them, notably. A big part of the reason why we're back again here now is the tracks currently being removed one at a time through the stretch where the derailment occurred and the controlled burn, in quotes, occurred. So that is causing a lot of concerns for residents who are potentially being exposed to some of the new dusts and whatnot being kicked up with all of this happening. So that is a big concern amongst residents. Several that we're talking with already are looking to potentially try to relocate, and some of them are having more luck than others. The boundary lines as to where Norfolk Southern will pay for your relocation varies. It's kind of on one map it'll look like somebody's all good, and on another they're not. We're very likely going to hear about that from some of the residents in the room today that we've already spoken with at this point. But again, for those of you just joining, please smash the like button, help get the stream out to more folks. And again, this is our second week of reporting on the ground here in East Palestine. This sort of reporting is tough to do, and it's only possible by our members. We're able to be out here. We don't have any corporations backing us or anything like that. We're fully people-powered, people paying $5 to $10 a month. So if you're able to help out with this sort of reporting, statuscoup.com/join is the place to go do that. Again, statuscoup.com is the place to do that, because this sort of reporting is tough to do. Colin and I both flew here today to get here. I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. I know Colin's been up late as well. We're going to be here through the duration of the meeting. And again, did interviews earlier today at the city council meeting as well. Tomorrow we're going to have interviews with residents who are not being reimbursed for relocation as of now. One of these residents actually has 2 young children, and that's a major concern, obviously, when you can smell these chemicals coming up near your house with all of this going on. It looks like they're getting ready to get started inside. Once we go inside, I'm not going to necessarily be able to talk as much just because it's a small room and it's fairly quiet. But the meeting should get started around 7 p.m. Eastern time, which is in about 5 minutes or so, a little bit more than 5 minutes. It is very cold outside, so I apologize if I'm shivering out here on you all, but we'll go ahead and get inside, and we're going to just get the microphone situated so that when this event gets started, we will be able to make sure you all can hear everything, you all can see everything. One more time, though, for folks who are just joining, again, we're at the East Palestine Municipal Building. This is where the City Council meeting is going to be taking place here in town. We're going to have several residents coming to speak, and we'll get started here in just a second. Again, it might be quiet for a couple minutes, but they will get started momentarily here. So we'll go ahead on in, and we can get set up for y'all. And again, for those of you just joining, again, we're at the City Council meeting here in East Palestine, Ohio. I'm going to be a little bit quiet here until we get started. The meeting should be getting started in just a couple minutes here. We'll have several residents that we've talked to, several residents that we haven't talked to who will be speaking at this meeting. If you're just joining, though, please smash the like button, help get this out to more folks.
But it worked out. Not ideal.
We wouldn't want it anyway.
Yeah, but great. Yeah. All the guys were my bad.
I was going to say, I possibly rejected something.
Fire chief take care of it. You got sheet number 2.
They gave the same exact thought.
Are we doing that in the middle of the meeting? When do you want to do it? Yeah, we'll do it after state. I guess we'll just do it like we normally do after state. Yeah, before we do legislation.
Call this meeting, East Palestine Village Council to order. Please call the roll.
Ms. May?
Here.
Mr. Pavinsky?
Here.
Dr. Rocco?
Present.
Mr. Runyon?
Here.
Mr. Simpson?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Present.
Please stand for the pledge and prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, please watch over us and the residents of the village as we go through these trying times. Let us make the right decisions. Amen. Council, before you, you'll have the meeting of the regular and special meeting of 2/27/23. Is there any additions or corrections? And if not, can I get a motion to approve those?
I make a motion to approve.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Village Department reports, there's none with this being the second meeting. Yes, there is. Never mind, sorry. Wow, it's been a long one. You'll find the Village Department reports for the month of, for the month of February. Is there any discussion? If not, can I get approval for those minutes?
Mayor, not to interrupt, but the information that we were just handed on the train derailment,
Yeah.
that incident occurred at 2100 hours, not 2000 hours.
Those aren't minutes.
Yeah, those are notes from Councilman Simpson.
No, I didn't call it minutes. I called it information we were just handed. Just for council's attention, that's all. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the department reports.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No agenda items tonight. Clerk's report.
I have nothing.
Mayor's report. The dirt has finally started to move to a EPA-regulated facility in Indiana. The cleanup is still ongoing, and it's going to go on for some time. The track, one side of the track is still ripped up and will be ripped up for a while. And there's been 6 million gallons of contaminated water hauled off site as of today. A manager's report. Oh, and the clinic is still open. We please, if anybody has any signs or symptoms, or even if not, please go and get checked out at the clinic. That way they can all be put into a report that's going to be processed by HHS and the Ohio Department of Health. So, and there's mental health.
If anyone needs to go talk to them.
And we were just back there in a meeting working on a grant that the mental health board is going to apply for East Palestine to try to get some more mental health services in the town. It's going to be a 90-day grant, and then hopefully morphs into a year-long grant to get much-needed funding in here for that. So. Manager's report, please.
Just announcement that the park playgrounds are going to be temporarily closed until further notice for removing, cleaning, and putting down new mulch. We are working on that, so that's going to be temporarily closed until further notice.
They're also going to watch. Steve, they're going to watch the tennis courts too, right? We asked them to do it. Just make sure that they follow up on that, please.
That's all I had.
Law director's report.
I have no report tonight, Mayor.
Street committee report.
I have nothing, Tom, anything? We have nothing, Mayor, thank you.
Park recreation cemetery committee report.
First off, we have a park board meeting tomorrow, Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. here in the municipal building. Second, I want to say that I'm sorry to our residents that we're going through this. I know that it hasn't been easy for anyone. It's been hard. It's been scary. There are a lot of unanswered questions, and I know that that's hard, but I'm also proud of our community and our residents for taking this and trying to create a positive out of it. There's really no words that we can say that's going to make this better, but we have to unite and be on the same front. This is our community. This is where we're raising our kids, and we have to stick together. We have to hold the railroad accountable for what happened. It shouldn't have happened, and it did. And how you're feeling is valid, but we also have to move forward, and we have to do that together. There are resources available. I know that all of us want to do what's best for all of you. That's what we're here for. I want to say thank you to Misty for everything that she's done with very little thanks. Thank you to Trent for being the face of this and receiving both sides, the good and the bad. Thank you to Tracy because she's doing it all too, and she's doing 2 jobs, and she's doing an amazing job, and it's a lot, and we're lucky to have her. Thank you to Dave for doing the ordinances and keeping us on track and making sure that we're legal and doing the right thing. Thank you to everyone that's sitting around this table with me. We have all faced this in a different capacity, but I promise you that we are all doing what we think is best for you guys. That is why you chose us, and we will continue to do that. Sometimes you might not agree, but please know that we have the best interest in mind, and we're doing as good as we can. Thank you to Keith, and thank you to Jimmy, our chiefs. Thank you to our entire fire department and our entire police department. Thank you to our street department, Brennan and Steve and Zach and Austin and Clayton. Thank you to all of them. Thank you to our water department, Scott. Thank you. But thank you to all of our residents, because we need you. We need all of you, and we need you to help us move forward. So I please ask that, I know you're scared, but try to set the negativity aside and come together with us. So thank you.
And thank you.
Development and Finance Committee.
I've spent several days on phone calls and emailing people, trying to get some things in place for, hopefully once the cleanup is done, we can move into the recovery mode, and as information becomes available, that will be shared with the community.
Utility Committee report.
Thank you, Mayor. The paper that you got tonight, as Mr. Walker alluded to, these are just some of the minutes and some of the ideas and some of the observations that I've made. We've talked about keeping everyone into the loop. I just thought I would write my thoughts down as they occur and as I've attended the different meetings and such. So that's basically all this is. It's an informational packet only. That's all I have on that. Mr. Wolf, could you bring us up to speed on what was going on with the water system?
No changes since last council meeting specifically. There was an open house on March 4th. Somewhat of an okay turnout. But again, there's been no detections in the city's water, municipal drinking water. It's completely safe. Myself and 4 of the other employees live in town. I know numerous council people live in town. I got 2 little kids. I can't reiterate enough that I'm using the water just like I always have. So whether you drank it before or not, that's the mute point. So testing will continue weekly, Tuesdays with Ohio EPA and Norfolk Southern. We too, as a village, are taking our own samples. So it's going to move forward like that on the wells and the plant tap itself. And then weekly on the Sentinel wells that have been drilled as monitoring wells between the well field and contaminated leslie run sulfur run. There's 4 of those. Those are sampled weekly as well. So we'll continue until further notice.
I also talked to ODNR about a week ago, and they said where Bull Run empties into the North Fork of the Little Beaver, there are fish swimming there, and there is aquatic life in the area, so there's no contamination in that area. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Safety Committee report.
I think it would be better if we let the chiefs, give their updates and.
I don't really have anything to add other than what was in the monthly report. For the most part, our shifts are back to normal. So the guys are back on the regularly scheduled shifts. We do still have additional security requirements and requests coming in. We're continuing to field those and manage those as they occur. Other than that, again, it's basically in the monthly report. I appreciate the support of council, the community. Everybody's been great in offering their support and kind words. So we appreciate that. Jess, I appreciate the comments. So thank you all. And thank you to our residents for just the moral support, stopping in, and kind words and cards. It's much appreciated.
Chief Brown, well-written report.
Thank you.
Very nicely done. Commending your officers and your dispatchers. Nice job.
As you see in mine, we have most of our equipment that we had to replace. Most of that is in. All of the PPE is in except for 12 helmets. They're on back order. The hose is on the way, and the SCBAs are scheduled to be here by the end of the month. The ladder truck will be here sometime between July and August. We still continue to outstaff during daylight hours when they're still down there removing dirt. And we have an increased traffic and increased footprint. Other than that, guys are still doing what they do every day. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I do have something else. On the water and sewer billing, we did send out pink cards this month, and there was there are $25 for people to be shut off. But I made the decision on the week of March 6th not to do shut-offs because there were some issues about whether we were going to be open or not in this building. So I just want to let everyone know that we will be doing shut-offs next month, the month of April. But also, I didn't know if council wanted to consider about not charging penalties for the month of March again.
No, we shouldn't.
Just for one more month.
Yeah, I think it should be at least that, if not more. So we don't even have everybody back in their house, so that's not right.
So I don't know what council's pleasure is.
Do we need a motion on
Yeah.
that? I'd like to make a motion that we forgive the penalties for the month of March for the water and sewer bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Thanks, I forgot about
Can
that.
we
Sorry
just go
about
ahead
that.
and maybe add April?
We'll just do April when it comes. We'll see how it is. But yeah, we'll do 1 month at a time. If it's still in the same situation, we'll definitely do April.
I will want to know, we are going to have to probably start shutting people off
Yeah,
because
I'd
their
like
bills
to
are just going to keep getting
but
higher and higher. And then if people are just up and leaving and not letting us know, we need to get their water
Can
off.
we make some sort of notice that if they are upping in the to let us know? Like, do people know that they should let us know?
They should. I mean, it's part of selling or...
The problem is, like, if there's a rental and somebody decides to leave, and look, I'm not holding anybody back. If you want to leave. But that bill is just going to keep getting the
Right.
minimum. And so it gets shut off.
So we need to get-
That's
so-
kind of the problem we're running into
Maybe
right
we
now.
could post on our Facebook.
So, but I mean, we need to start shutting people off and getting those services terminated. And we'll do that the month of April. Come up with some wording to post on that.
Yeah.
Put that in there about the shut-offs will occur in April, but there won't be penalties for March.
Everybody?
That's all.
We need to go into executive session for,
We'll be for legislation, are we there?
we are there.
All right. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion under Ohio Revised Code 121.22. We enter into executive session to discuss potential manager candidates and the acquisition of real estate. I would invite the manager, acting manager, and law director to come back in, and there may be business taken care of after.
Well, there definitely will be.
Second.
Yeah.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. May?
Yes.
Mr. Pavinsky?
Yes.
Dr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mr. Runyon?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Yeah, right in that cabinet, I think we're starting to go back.
So you're fine. You're fine. So we're gonna have the council coming back out again shortly. They just went into an executive session, I believe, to discuss a new city manager candidate. So something unrelated necessarily to the actual derailment. They did talk very broadly. I believe after this, they should be coming back in. I'm not exactly sure how long this break will be, but they'll be coming back in to potentially hear from actual residents. There's quite a few people in the room here. Some that we've spoken with before, some others as well. Again, we are in East Palestine, Ohio at the City Council meeting. This is the first day of our now 5-day trip that we're going to be going on here. We did hear a little bit from someone who works with the water department saying that the water is being tested once a week, I believe it was, and they're saying that they feel good about the water. Again, some of the water experts that we're talking to are saying that they would be concerned about some of the stuff in the situation, so we might be able to try to talk to this person in a little bit. There's definitely lots of questions up in the air still going on here. I want to try to see if I can figure out when they're going to come back out here again, too. Give me 1 second, Colin. I'm going to just see if I can figure out.
Oh, yeah.
once again, guys, we are here in East Palestine. The council and mayor just broke into executive session to discuss new candidates for city manager. We haven't gotten a ton of information related to the train derailment yet. The only real comment that was brought up was by a representative working with the water department, saying that they are testing the water. I'd be curious in a second. I'm going to go over and see if he'd be willing to chat with us for a second about what specifically they're testing for, and if some of the specifics that they're testing for are things that we're seeing in test results in the surface water above the area. Some of you will remember that surface water above the area where the kind of temporary dam overflowed twice last week that we saw. That area is basically right over the edge of where the municipal water supply would be, the groundwater would be, and according to the Ohio EPA, the protection level from contaminants getting from the surface down into the water is literally listed as 0. The water expert that we've spoken with, Bob Bocock, says he's never seen a 0 listed anywhere before, and that you'd need to be testing daily for him to feel comfortable with this. Again, it could be fine right now, and that would be a great thing. But ultimately, unless we know specifically what everything is being tested for, it's hard to say. So we'll see if we can pull him aside for an interview here shortly. For those of you just joining again, please press the like button. We're going to be in East Palestine all week long. I've got Colin behind the camera and myself. We have a ton of new people that we're going to be talking with over the next couple days, folks that you haven't seen before yet, doing interviews with anybody really at this point. So folks who are having a hard time with relocations, they live right on the edge of the line, essentially, where at first it's the 1 mile radius, and if you're within the 1 mile radius, Norfolk Southern will pay for you to relocate. And then it became a weird map of the exact line of the city limits, which puts some people closer to the kind of ground zero where this all happened, who might be able to be relocated, and then other people who might be just a tad bit further away, or in some cases even closer, not being able to be relocated. One gentleman who we're hoping to be able to speak with tomorrow has two-year-olds. They can smell it at their house. On the maps, when they look at how far away they are, it's 0.9 miles. One of the residents showed this at the assistance center with Norfolk Southern, the same assistance center that we went to when we were here last time a couple weeks ago, and they were like, nope, according to our map it's 1.1, like, tough luck, basically, like, you'll be fine, sorry, can't do anything about it, when people just a couple houses down are able to get the money and be relocated. So we'll be able to talk to some of those residents, which will be definitely interesting. We've had a couple people, some who've had success stories of actually being able to be relocated, and we will go talk to some of those folks. Some of you might remember Candace DeSanzo from the last time we were here. We did several interviews with her here in East Palestine. She was able to actually get some money to relocate. I was texting with her earlier today. Notably, she left, and her kids who were not doing well are now feeling much better being away from the situation they were in. So that will be an interesting thing for us to be able to look at. But again, some of these folks that we're talking to already are in a situation where they are still having health implications and things like this, but they are not able to get those that money to be able to be reimbursed for housing somewhere else. And it's not reasonable in a lot of cases to ask these folks to just pull the money out of their pocket when they're still paying for their mortgage, or they're still paying for their rent here in East Palestine, and then or their water, although it sounds like the water bills are temporarily, if you're not paying your water bill, that was a small item that was just voted on. They pushed that through until at least the end of March. Or if you're delinquent on your water bill at this point, or you haven't been home, you won't get charged for that. But regardless, it's a big ask for people to be able to just go and figure it out on their own and get a hotel, go get an Airbnb, and things like that. And I'll also say too, with seeing the comments from folks online about this, these are not folks who are just like looking to get away to go on a vacation away from their town. That is absolutely not what is happening here. These are folks who they'd much rather be at home, but they're getting sick at home in many cases, and they're needing to relocate their family to a hotel room, which is going to be much smaller than their home. You're not going to be able to cook in a hotel room. It is an inconvenience, not a nice thing for these folks. Some people have been staying in hotels for weeks at this point because if they come back into town, their kids who may be asthmatic, who have other issues, elderly folks are getting diagnosed with real issues. A woman came up and spoke to me. We'll try to follow up with her after this event, and said she was actually told she has a lung injury that has happened in the last 4 or 5 weeks, essentially. Notably, that is within the exact time frame of when this all happened. So we are seeing all sorts of different health implications, and we're still seeing them happen while we're here. This afternoon, before we came over here, last time I was here, I had John Farina with me. I've got Colin behind the camera right now. I wanted to go check in on some of the sites that we had seen last time we were here and see where they're at, and also show Colin the lay of the land here. We still saw lots of the kind of water aeration devices going on where you're taking water from the upstream, whereas closer to the derailment site, where it's more heavily contaminated, and essentially spraying it up into the air, trying to get the water to separate from the chemicals. In those areas, the chemical smell is much more present. You can still, again, a lot of these creeks, we haven't gone in and dug too deeply into this ourselves yet, but residents we're talking to who were there in the last couple of days are still seeing chemicals in the water as far as several miles downstream from where the derailment site went, stretching from first Sulphur Run, feeding into Leslie Run, and then continuing down into the Beaver Creek area. So that is also a major concern that we're going to be continuing to look into while we're here this time around. On top of that, I still need to kind of dig into it a little bit more. I'm hoping tonight and tomorrow morning I might have a little bit more time to put this together. I've been doing some deep digging into the home air tests that had been being done by a mixture of CTEH, the contractor hired by Norfolk Southern, as well as EPA. A lot of the devices in question with several doctorates in chemistry and toxicologists that I'm talking to. These devices are not able to measure all of these things that are potentially present, whether they be chemicals on board the train, or more importantly, the byproducts of the chemicals that were on board the train when those chemicals are set on fire. So I actually, while we were here, just received a second email back from the EPA. They had replied to one of my comments earlier in the week. I had sent an email. 5 days later, I got a vague response to some of my questions. I sent a follow-up, and I got a little bit more specifics from them this time, but it took another 5 days basically to get the reply. Not necessarily the expediency that I was hoping for, but there's definitely a lot going on with these home air tests that I would be concerned about. Personally, I went into several homes the last time we were in East Palestine. Some of them we had videos on the channel that after this live stream you should go check them out. You can, it's hard to show you all what it is, but when you walk into some of these homes and businesses, you can feel it, you can smell it, you can feel it in your eyes. It's something that's difficult to show, but it's concerning when residents, in a lot of cases, are having CTEH come and give them these test results saying, yep, less than 0.1 VOCs, doing these very broad tests, VOCs being volatile organic compounds, and telling them, yep, it's fine. Oh, you can smell something? It's probably this one chemical, N-butyl acrylate, which has a low odor threshold. The issue with that is basically every other chemical or byproduct of the chemicals, yes, their odor thresholds are at a point where if you can smell it, it's already a concern. So they're picking the one chemical that if you can smell it, it's not a concern, and they're telling you it's that, when in reality, in a lot of cases, it very well could be one of these other ones. It seems like the council is coming back out, so I am going to go put the microphone back up there, and we'll pick back up shortly here. Again, if you're just watching, please smash the like button. Consider supporting our reporting. StatusCoup.com/join.
Can I get a motion to come back into session?
Motion? Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Legislation. Mr. Run.
All right.
We have three pieces of legislation tonight. First being ordinance 4-2023 related to the transfer of real estate. Ordinance 5 creating the creation of a position for the fire administration assistant and EMS coordinator, and ordinance number 6 for a volunteer assistant. I'll introduce ordinance number 4-2023, a motion that it be read by title only.
Second.
Sorry, for its first reading.
Is it going as emergency or no?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. An ordinance accepting transfer of a parcel of real estate with condemned structure in lieu of demolition and declaring an emergency. And this is in reference to 1279 Bacon Avenue.
I'll make a motion to, goodness, I've just lost everything in my brain. Thank you. I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and declare this an emergency.
Second.
Ms. May?
Yes.
Mr. Kropinski?
Yes.
Dr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mr. Runyon?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
And I'll call for a vote on ordinance number 4-2023.
Second.
Ms. May?
Yes.
Mr. Kropinski?
Yes.
Dr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mr. Runyon?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
I'll introduce ordinance number 5-2023, and motion that it be read by title only.
Second.
An ordinance creating the position of Fire Department Administrative Assistant / EMS Coordinator and setting wages, and declaring an emergency.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and declare this an emergency.
Second.
Mr. Kropinski?
Yes.
Dr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mr. Runyon?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. May?
Yes.
And I'll call for a vote on ordinance 5-2023.
Second.
Mr. Kropinski?
Yes.
Dr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mr. Runyon?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. May?
Yes.
Mr. Rennie,
Yes.
I would like to discuss ordinance 6/2023.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion that we amend some of this to delete one particular council member's name and just leave it generic. I think that would be more transparent and more fair all the way around.
Okay. Possibly amending the title to just read members of council.
Correct. I made a motion.
Okay, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll introduce ordinance number 6-2023, a motion that it be read by title only.
Second.
An ordinance authorizing members of council to assist the village manager slash finance director on a volunteer basis, and declaring an emergency.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and declare this an emergency.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Dr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mr. Runyon?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. May?
Yes.
Mr. Kropinski?
Yes.
That's all for me tonight, Mr. Mayor. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll call for a vote on ordinance number 6-2023.
Second.
Dr. Rocco?
Yes.
Mr. Runyon?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. May?
Yes.
Mr. Kropinski?
Yes.
Now that's all for me tonight, Commissioner.
All right, if there's nothing else to come before council.
I have one thing, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I would like to thank you all for coming tonight. Like Dr. Rocco said, this is a very hard time for everyone. Hang in there, we'll get through this. I appreciate your support here. If you're for us, thank you. If you're against us, we hope to change your mind. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
hey, get I hope they help you. Pretty sure
give me anything at the clinics when I have my medical records. Stop that. At least I have.
Yeah, check out Slow back up.
Yeah, after I go home and get my clothes for the week.
Real quick. No, you're good. I'm all good to go. Cool. Alrighty, so that was a much faster. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. That was a quick. You have a nice night. Actually, hold on one second. Would you want to talk for a second outside about your experience? Yeah? Awesome. Colin, do you want to just, we'll come back in for it.
I forgot your name already.
Lewis, you're fine. Remind me your name. Julie, awesome. Here, Colin, we'll try to stand close to this so that we've got a little bit of light.
Opposite.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Awesome. So I'm here with Julie. Julie is an East Palestine resident who's been affected by this. You just came up and talked to me a little bit beforehand. Do you want to just explain a little bit about what you were telling me before? You've actually had some complications as a result of some of this going on here.
Yes. So I saw a hospitalist at the free clinic they have set up here in East Palestine. I saw her 10 days ago, and she diagnosed me with a lung injury. She said there's no indication of infection, which I told her I agreed. I didn't feel that I was had an infection. So she said it could take months to recover from this. So I have now a chronic cough. I've been coughing for 6 weeks, and that's about the gist of it. I have asthma, so I do have inhalers that I use, which my rescue inhaler I almost never used until this happened, and now I have to use it frequently. So the attorneys we consulted with said to save the furnace filter, so we changed the furnace filter, and we have it saved in a garbage bag. And I can't find, trying to find resources because I don't know what to get my blood tested, who's going to, for these chemicals. I haven't found any of that information yet.
So that information is hard to find, basically, is what you're saying.
Yes, and of course Norfolk Southern CEO is not supporting the community, which is exactly what I expected, and I'll be very surprised if these lawsuits come to fruition. I'll be pleasantly surprised if it does happen. So.
Do you live in the 1 mile radius area, or are you close to that?
I live in bordering Middleton Township. I live 5 miles that direction.
Wow. 5 miles away. And I will say, too, I was surprised that you said that they actually diagnosed you with something at this clinic, because we were in town about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago at this point. And at that point, the clinic was not diagnosing anyone with anything. They weren't testing anyone for anything. They were essentially just providing someone to talk to, which, granted, that element of it is good, but they were just providing referrals to doctors. They actually gave you a diagnosis for this.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. I wish I could remember her name, but she's a hospitalist at East Liverpool City Hospital. Yeah. Wow. So.
And again, that should be a glaring red flag, though, that you live. I mean, how many miles would you approximate? 5 miles or so?
5 miles that direction, yes.
5 miles away, and you had a doctor at the clinic say that this is as a result of
injury. That's exactly what she said, and that's what she charted.
Right.
So here we are.
Here we are, and also notably, here we are right now. Folks are still having issues with some of this stuff, especially folks who live closer right now with the soil being dug up. And some of these folks are having a hard time getting relocation. They're having to fight tooth and nail to be able to get it, even when they're having symptoms.
Absolutely. That's why what I mean. Norfolk Southern is not helping any of us, and they're throwing that water up in the air, and then the chemicals are dissipating into the atmosphere. So how is that, safe? So anyway.
Thank you.
One more question for you, if it's okay. I guess, were you expecting more from the city council meeting tonight as far as like actual information to the public on stuff?
Yes, I thought we were going to get some information about people who have ongoing health issues. I need more resources. I need more. I know they're doing their best. I know they're working hard. It's just hard. It's hard to navigate all this because we're not getting answers. We're not getting help. I'm sorry. But.
Oh, no, you're fine. And frankly, like, the local government here is only going to be able to provide so much. This is like this is a town of 4,500 people. It's not like they don't have a chemicals expert on staff or anything like that. Like, really, this is where like the state government should be stepping in, and like the fact that a state of emergency and
Thank you. FEMA, Federal Emergency Management, should be relocating all of us. I mean, they should be here. I'm not going to say I'm sorry because the attorney said, stop apologizing. You're a victim.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's.
I hope
We live here. We have 11 acres. What am I going to do? I mean, we live here. I'm not renting. If I was renting, I would move out and break my lease right now. So. This is where
you're in a
we live.
situation. You're not in a position, right? No one's gonna buy your house at this point. No one's looking.
Small 11-acre farm, and we're yes, right.
On the farming end of it, do you actually plant crops or anything, or do you have livestock or anything on the property?
Small garden. We had livestock. Yeah, well, we only have chickens now.
Okay. I mean, are you concerned at all about any of the they're now starting to do soil testing and this sort of stuff? Are you concerned at all about
We're on the list because now they're finally testing the water in Middleton Township, the free testing. There was no ash on the ground from the uncontrolled burn. I called it the uncontrolled burn. I didn't see any ash, so that was, that was a relief. No, I don't. I think it's okay. I think the soil's okay. This just happened, I think, the night of the burn. This lung injury, so.
Well, I hope that it turns out okay for you and you start to feel better. I appreciate you taking the time. I got your phone number earlier. I'll send you a message and we should reconnect. I want to follow up with you later on. So thank you so much. Yeah. You all have a nice night.
So much for your work. I can't thank you enough. A newly subscribed member now.
Look at that. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, she approached me during the event, actually, and was like, are you with Status Coup? And I was like, I am. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate that.
Thanks for all your work. And tell Jordan I said hello.
He's probably watching, so there you go. Thank you. So, folks, that also gives you an idea of the impact that we're having here. This is somebody who lives just a couple miles away from East Palestine, new member of Status Coup. She came up and approached me while we were in here and asked if I was from Status Coup and wanted to talk. So that's some powerful stuff. Let me see if Juja is still in here. I saw her briefly. I don't know that she is in here, though.
I almost cried. I almost cried.
Jordan, do you want to tell people about membership for a second? And I can
Yeah.
see if I can find it.
So Lewis is gonna be scouting for someone right now, but if you guys are still here, remember the camera's just gonna sort of be pointing at random stuff. You could this reporting is completely funded by you guys. We don't take any money from any corporations, any oligarchs, none of that. It's all just the small dollar donations and membership from you guys. So if you can, StatusCoup.com/join us. How we were able to do this trip is thanks to you guys, and we want to keep covering this story. This is the second week, like Lewis said, that we're out here, and it's not cheap. So StatusCoup.com/join. I'm sure the link is in the super chat.
I got Juja outside. Awesome. We've got a resident Juja outside here who we've talked to a couple times already. We can try to... Do you mind stepping right over here and we'll have a little bit more light? Awesome. No, I'm freezing too. No worries. So joined here by Juja. You've seen her on the channel a couple times at this point. I guess first off, what were your impressions of the meeting tonight? Were you expecting more information about actually what's going on here?
Yeah, I was waiting for it to like kind of start, and I was hoping they had some sort of like schedule that like led to a question section, especially because we've all been wanting answers, and they kind of said that they were going to be doing weekly meetings. However, like I feel like they never even like kind of looked at us to listen or to hear what we were saying. Like I feel like they was just like, we're just going to do our thing here and pretend like you guys aren't here. I have a lot of unanswered questions, and I was wondering if I was allowed to like interrupt at certain points but I was like, no one else was talking, so I wasn't sure. It was kind of like, yeah, it was kind of weird like that. It was kind of like really vague. I wasn't really sure like what was going to happen next or when we were going to have a chance to get some questions out.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was under the impression that there was, I had been told that a couple residents had been able to add their names to an agenda as long as they had submitted by Friday.
I heard that, like, literally on the way over here, someone asked if I'd submitted my questions, and I said, to what? Like, from where? Because, like, I wasn't even sure this was actually even happening because it hadn't been announced anywhere, really. Like, there was a Facebook page that said, like, council meeting, a regular council meeting at 7 p.m., and then the date, and that was it. And that was, like, 3 days ago, and then no one's heard anything since, so it feels like they just don't care. Like, they don't want to listen. They're not actively trying to listen. So, yeah, I wish there would have been more information about a lot of things and more communication with us, but it felt like they just tried to ignore the fact that we were sitting there.
Right. You know, it felt like a very, like, normal council meeting, as if, like, nothing had happened recently. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then they were talking about, like, the water shutoffs, and it says next month we're going to start it. I was like, well, people, like, some people might not even be getting their mail. They're in hotels right now because they can't go home. Like, they're not using that water either.
You're a perfect example of that. Yeah. How long have you been in a hotel at this point?
Since February 3rd. I just got my Airbnb today, but it's been a hotel since then. And it has not been a vacation by any means. With my son, our 2 cats, like, living on top of each other, like, not sure what's going to happen from hour to hour, like, getting pressure from a lot of different angles of my life, and it's like, I wish this were easier. It's not a vacation. It's not been fun.
Right. And have you been able to get any assistance from Norfolk Southern for paying for this at this point? Like, are you in the zone? Are they actually, because some people are getting it, which is great. I hope you are. And some people are struggling to get assistance from them.
Yeah, it's super, like, wishy-washy about who gets it and who doesn't. And I mean, they've told me I was in it, and then I was out, and then I was in and out, and then, like, it's not even going by the mile, like, the evacuation zone anymore. It's city limits, like, and it depends on who you are. There's people in the same situation as me who has had their air tested okay by their group, which is still obviously not okay. We're still getting sick. It still smells. Some people have been compensated for their hotel stays since then, and I had a 2-week period where I wasn't. And now I am because of this whole temporary relocation, but it's a joke. And $1,000 for a family. I mean, it costs $1,500 for a 1 week at an Airbnb, which is lower rates than a hotel sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's insane. I'm glad you brought up the point that, like, it's not like you're going and enjoying your time staying at this hotel. Like, you've got all of your belongings are in town here, right, in your house for the most part. You take what you can with you to go deal with this sort of stuff, and then, you know, you're running back and forth. You don't have all your things with you. To your point, you've got your pets, your kids, all in one room. You don't have a stove to cook on. You're eating,
not reimbursing us for any of that stuff. Like, so we got $1,000 for my son and I, which it actually doesn't even cover a week's worth of just lodging alone. And then they said they're going to cover food and gas, but everything else is just we're left to replace on our own or go without, and that's not fair.
And food and gas is tough too, because, like, food, again, you're staying in a hotel. It's not like you can cook. Like, food means going out to eat, and if you're trying to do that on a budget, it means eating food that's terrible to eat every day, basically. It's like,
really stressful, too, because I hate going out, and I was actively trying to live healthier and cooking more, and now it's like, it's my only alternative to eat out, and it's like, it sucks, and I'm, like, being withheld from living my life the way I want to. It's not a good time.
One last question for you, because I know it's cold. I know that early on your child was not doing well with this and having lots of complications. You've stayed away from town, and you've been able to do that, which is great. Have they been doing okay since being away from East Palestine?
So, yes and no. So he had a couple days of rashes that healed up, but he's been, so he's got family he stays with sometimes in Chippewa, and we were being told, like, that's just not included in any of this, but we actually evacuated a second time the day of the burn from Chippewa because we saw the cloud roll in. Well, now sometimes he's coming back from being in Chippewa with a little bit of rash on his face, and it's been coming and going, but he's there on and off sporadically through the week. So I'm concerned about that, and he's been showing some, like, signs of being, like, just really, like, fatigued. And I'm just concerned about that because he hasn't had any other kind of reactions like that since he was a baby, when he was just really sensitive to a lot of stuff. So, I mean, mentally, he's struggling a lot. He misses his friends. He doesn't, well, we've tried to, like, fit it in between trying to find, like, where to live and everything, and it's just been hard for him as an only child, too.
Okay, right afterwards is fine. Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's been really stressful. He doesn't really understand why some of his friends are going back to school and then other ones aren't. Some of them are getting sick, and he's afraid. He's afraid for them, and it's really hard to talk about it because his little friends are, you know, their moms are calling me and said, hey, like, they're having nosebleeds, so we just went to the ER. And my son's 9. Like, that's traumatizing. It's not been easy at all for any of us.
Absolutely. Well, we'll catch up with you later in the week, too. Again, we're going to be here through Friday. Thanks for taking the time again. And I, like, ran out. I was like, I want to find her before she leaves. So thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. Yeah, go get warm. Thank you. For those of you watching, we may be doing 1 or 2 more here. I want to say, though, that this type of reporting is tough to do. We're going to be on the ground all week. This is the second week that I'm going to be spending here in East Palestine. If you can become a member to support this kind of reporting, literally as low as $5 a month, that's a crappy cup of coffee from Starbucks. You should go to a local coffee store instead. Don't spend your money there, but it's literally that cheap. $5 a month can make a big deal, a big difference when all of you are pooled together doing it. We don't take money from corporations or anything like that. We are fully powered by people like you watching this sort of stuff. I'm going to give you to Colin for 1 second again here. She just wanted to talk.
All right, guys, you got me again with the random camera shots while Lewis is talking to some residents. But, yeah, the other thing is, like Lewis had hinted at, is residents were told they could submit questions by Friday and they would be read and part of the agenda. And we know for a fact that residents were accepted onto that, and yet none of those questions were read. But they took time to do a whole section of the meeting to applaud each other, but not applaud the residents for surviving this and dealing with all this stuff. Once again, like Lewis said, it's a small town council and all that, so they're limited on what they can do. But the issues they talked about, especially the water bill thing, was weird, where they took a whole section talking about, yes, they postponed it, but there's like 2 members that were very adamant that we need to charge these fees to people at some point, as if that's the highest priority. Well, like, why did we take time out of the meeting for that, but no time towards solutions for the citizens or more facts about what is going on and what's wrong with them and different things like that. So it's a very interesting meeting. Here, I'll show you guys this bulldog while we wait. That's a bulldog. I think that's their I don't know if it's their college or what mascot. But a lot of signs around town as well, of like East Palestine will recover or come back, East Palestine strong, that type of stuff. So the community is definitely trying to endure as best as they can, but they're just not getting the help they need from state or federal.
Sorry. Alrighty, guys, it's starting to thin out a little bit in here, so we are going to start to wrap this up here. Again, this was the city council meeting here in East Palestine. A couple of people that just pulled me off camera here when I was running were wanting to talk but not wanting to necessarily do it right here. A lot of people unhappy with the answers or lack of answers that they got tonight. The audience was essentially there, but there were no questions. There was no time for questions. There was just kind of... They're treating it like this is a normal city council meeting in a time where there wasn't just a massive explosion caused by a train derailment right in the backyard here. Pretty unacceptable to a lot of the folks that we just talked to. We're going to have an interview with someone that I just spoke to right now who's a business owner in town who is frankly very pissed off at the result of this. She said her business has been closed the entire time that this has happened because her house and her business are located very close to where this happened, and nobody from the municipal building has contacted her even once to offer any assistance or anything like that throughout this entire thing. So we're very hopeful to be able to connect with her tomorrow during the day. That's why I just left you with Colin, who I'm sure did a fantastic job filling you in on all the stuff that we've got going on here. But that's just one anecdote. We heard from Juja as well, who we've talked to several times over the last month at this point, because Juja was someone that even early on in this, before we were here on the ground, Jordan started doing interviews with her to come share her story of her child who at the time was projectile vomiting and shaking in her bed, or in his bed, and she needed to get her kid out of town and has not returned back since to live here. So she comes into town for meetings like this to try to get answers, for not only her family, but also to get answers for her friends and neighbors, to get the message out there. Several other folks too. I mentioned we talked to Ashley earlier today. That interview is going to be coming up shortly. If you're able to support this kind of reporting, guys, it is tough to be out here and doing this, right? This meeting, we thought that there was going to be a lot more actual substance on what's going on in town. I thought we were going to have a lot to talk about as far as new information being given, as far as tough questions being asked by residents. There was zero opportunity for residents to engage in any part of this meeting at all. And that is frankly unacceptable for folks in this town who have gone through all of this to have their city council meeting just end like this. But we do need to get our stuff out of the building. I just got a signal there. Do we have super chats or anything? I can even grab it real quick if you want, Colin, or... Yeah, let's grab it real quick and then we'll go through super chats, guys. Can I shut your laptop? Or does it need to stay open? I can keep it open. I got it. Hang on 1 second, guys, and we'll get to your super chats. Again, we'll hang on 1 second, guys. We'll get the super chats and wrap this thing up here for y'all. Oops. I tried. I can even carry some of this other stuff. We can do it by the car. I got it. I got it. Don't worry about it.
It's a cheap one.
Boom. All right, guys. We're just gonna scoot outside here. Thank you. Yep. Wrong door. You guys get the behind the scenes of needing to clean up here a little bit. Apologies for that. We'll wrap this up right here real quick.
Super chats are on my laptop.
Super chats are on the laptop. Perfect. Alrighty. First one here, super chat. And again, guys, super chats totally welcome throughout this. I've got them right up here in front of me. And keep an eye out for live streams. We're going to be trying to do one every night this week. We're also going to have some longer interviews with residents throughout. I mentioned earlier the business owner that I just spoke with briefly and others. So super chat number one, David Eich. Lewis, I need to know your shirt size. Interesting question. It's roughly a medium. Yep, so $1.99. Thanks, David. Happy Days. Member, they upgraded their membership to fight the power. Thank you, Happy Days, for that upgraded membership. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Again, membership is the only way that we're able to make all of this stuff possible. And then last one we got on here, Dave L, $5. Let's see, Texas A&M and Carnegie Mellon sent teams to East Palestine. Might be worth looking into. We have actually been looking into some of that, and we're hopefully going to be trying to connect with actually some of their folks while we're in town here. I did speak to somebody who's helping fund some of those tests, so we'll hopefully be able to get involved in some of that at that point. But with that, I think we should wrap up the live stream portion of this. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And here I can... Yeah, there we go. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a great night. Stay tuned for